Muhsin Yasalada.
Viraj, Acharya, how are we doing?
I'm well today, man. How are you? I'm not doing too shabby.
Oh, I hate you so much, man.
It was a good drive up here.
Was it actually?
It was.
No
Straight
traffic?
road, no traffic.
Oh,
for once.
lovely, lovely.
We're not in a fuel crisis anymore.
There was a fuel crisis?
I don't know. I
Oh,
don't
I never
know.
heard about that, man.
Apparently it was on the news. You know, ran out of ran out of drivers.
I
Army
try-
came in.
Yeah.
It was a whole thing. Did you not realise?
I try not to get myself involved with the commoners, Viraj. I just stay in my house when
I
we do things.
see.
We
I
lock
see.
the gates
You lock the gates and you just stay in your little sanctuary.
until the apocalypse is over, yes. Generally, that's what we do. It's the only way forward.
Well, I'm glad that you're happy. I'm glad that you stay in your little palace. Your little not Moroccan, your little
That's my missus.
Mrs. Cypriot? Greek Cypriot? No, Turkish Cypriot.
Cypriot. Cypriot will do.
I know you. It's all right. The little Cypriot palace. You know, it looks Cypriot. It feels Cypriot.
Well, you drive down our road, right? It's just traditional house, palm trees,
It's weird.
and
Feel like you're on
Mediterranean
holiday.
tiled floors that we actually got from Cyprus. Funnily enough.
Did you?
Funny you say that, yeah.
I like that.
With the same tiles in our bathroom, which I think is a bit weird, but.
What do you want to talk about today?
I want to talk about your opinion on letting people smash your wife. I'm joking.
We're not doing that again.
we're not
Okay,
doing
the
that
topic
again.
is completely off limits from that. No, I'm kidding.
Did you watch the Chappelle special?
I did.
All right, I want to hear your thoughts. As a non-comedian, what did you think of the Chappelle special?
Okay, so for context, I have only known comedy in the capacity of
Working in it.
working in a professional environment for about 3 months now.
Okay.
I can honestly say I look at it completely differently to the way I used to. And you have taught me a lot about it because you've brought me behind the scenes of writing jokes and all of that. So when I watch a special, when I watch a comedy show, it's now more a scientific kind of analysis of comedy, although I do find it funny, right? I like the way someone puts a set together rather than just the jokes by themselves. Find that incredibly amazing and interesting. Dave Chappelle is a fucking magician. Dave Chappelle is a magician. Let me say it here, and I will say it again. He is a magician. Do you know why? Do you know why Dave Chappelle is a magician? Because Dave Chappelle is like that film, Now You See Me, Now You Don't. He's like part one, and like the first film and the second film. What he does is he starts with this act. He starts with these individual stories that come together, right? That are just kind of five separate topics, and he weaves them into a single narrative, right? That narrative, however, is then taken through up until the last 20 minutes, 10 minutes, when he hits you with the mother of all kind of like crescendos, right? However, Dave Chappelle puts another element to it. Dave Chappelle makes you think that he's doing something with this hand, right? And he makes you think that this is the world he's talking about. And then he goes like fucking Tony Stark in Marvel, and he goes, yeah? Do you know why? Because this man went on for flipping a good half an hour about the LGBTQT and LGBTQT community, LGBTQT plus community, right? And obviously, like the media maker, he's got a history with that. And this guy, you fall into the narrative of what he does, and he becomes like this kind of broken record about da-da this, da-da-da that, and cracks his amazing jokes. And then goes, I was never talking about them. I was talking about me. And you sit there and you think about every single thing he said during the show, and you go, yeah, he's right. When he was talking about the LGBTQT community, he was never talking about them. He was talking about the black community and white people. He was trying to show the parallels in a comedic way. He wasn't punching down on other people. He was punching straight and narrow. Equal platform. It's fucking genius. And only he could say a joke like he did at the end for his friend that committed suicide. Daphne. I'm not sure. I'm supposing she's a real individual because of Dave's body of work. But only he could pull that together, make that joke, and then say to you, look right at the camera and goes, and I know Daphne would be laughing. And say it in a way that makes you feel something and not just laughter. He doesn't just produce comedy, he makes you think about your life in a completely different perspective. That's what Dave Chappelle does. And that's why Dave Chappelle is one of the greatest of all time comedians. Dave Chappelle, if I ever get to meet you, I hope this happens in the future. I just want to say well done. I just want to say congratulations and I want to say thank you. Thank you for showing the world that you are an amazing human being, that you uplift communities, and you do it all without being in the spotlight. You do it all with such a humble individual. You do it all by just cracking jokes. Spiel over.
You know, when he does those jokes, right? He doesn't do it blindly. If he wants to understand the LGBTQ community, he speaks to people from the communities he's making jokes about so he can understand.
The man is highly intellectual. He doesn't just crack jokes. There is culture.
There's a message.
There's a message in his jokes. There's something more. And yeah, sure, he always cracks the black jokes, right? He's black. Of course, he's gonna. It's what he is. It's like you crack jokes about your Turkish upbringing and your Turkish Cypriot upbringing, right? Only you can crack those, or someone that's like you can crack those. I couldn't crack those jokes.
Right.
And that's what I've learned from comedy. I couldn't do Kevin Hart's comedy. I couldn't do it in this. I can do the same style. I can't do the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, I also see, and this is slightly off topic, there was a joke he made, and it's similar to your joke about the cricket bat.
He stole my joke. I'm joking, of course.
No. You stole his. You stole that the way he does it. And you know what? I love the
something
fact
interesting. Say what you're gonna say, and then I'll tell you.
He did it,
Yeah.
and then he goes, and he does it the same way you do. He puts one leg forward like you do, and went, "Who's the motherfucker now?"
Yeah.
Or "Who's the bastard now?" Right? And I looked at him, and I was like, "Muhsin, you genius.
All right, calm down.
Muhsin, you've perfectly impersonated that act and made it yours." And that's what I like about comedy, is that you can use someone's style, you can use someone's gait, you can use someone the way that someone does it, and you can turn it into your own version.
You know what he did there? You know what that's called in comedy?
What is it?
It's called a callback.
Right.
So when you refer
I'm
to
still
something,
learning all of these words.
so I do the joke without giving away my act. I do the joke.
Because you've got to come to 1 Minute Smoke on the 28th
You do have to come to 1 Minute Smoke, and if you don't come, I know where you live. Anyway, so what's that called in comedy is called a callback, right? So you make a joke about something, you let the audience almost put it in the back of their subconscious, and you bring it back to relevance later on in your act. So I have the joke about calling my dad a wanker, right? And then he says, "No problem, when we go outside and play cricket," and then he teaches me a lesson, and then my dad finishes it by saying, "Who's the wanker now?"
It's
called
layers.
it's called a callback, right? And Dave Chappelle's the master of callbacks. Because like you said, everything is connected into this beautiful narrative. And what's amazing about Dave Chappelle, he makes it look unprepared to the untrained eye. But that is painstaking, day in, day out, at comedy clubs, working on his craft. Dave Chappelle's been known to do 5-hour gigs, where he's up there just riffing, listening, and people listen to him.
For those that don't know, riffing is what?
Riffing is working jokes out, thinking out loud.
Just on the fly.
Thinking out loud on stage. So you start off with some sort of premise that you want to investigate on stage, and you see where it takes you on stage. And he will do that sometimes for 4 hours on stage, and the audience will sat there, listen, and compelled.
Mate, I found it fascinating, and like the whole Daphne thing. I didn't think comedy could bring you to tears, not in a funny way, but in a different way.
Yeah.
And Chappelle does that. For me, Kevin Hart can't do that. Maybe Eddie Murphy could.
Yeah.
But Chappelle is in a league that
I hope to get there one day, honestly, I do.
I hope you do, and I hope you do it in a way that is authentic to you. Don't just copy and paste someone else's style, but
Yeah.
carve out your own. Because you are. I think you're a highly talented comedian.
Thank you, mate.
Genuinely, for someone that's only been doing it in the short time that you have, in the time that I've known you,
So he
I
had
think you've got upside. And I'm gonna put you on a pedestal here because I enjoy doing this.
You are biased, right? Because you're my mate.
No, I've tried to look at this from another point of view.
Right.
When I first came to your comedy show, I wasn't just your mate. I wasn't a mate. I
You
was
were my
kind of
lover.
just a friend. What is going on? I was kind of just a friend that came, and we weren't working together or any of that. But now it's different. So when I first came, I was like, this guy is actually surprisingly good. And now I sort of understand the comedy world. I'm like, he's got legs. Like, he can actually go somewhere if he does all the marketing bits and whatever. and doesn't sell himself out and stays true to himself, I think he can actually he can go somewhere. This can be his career. This man can be up there, and I think you can be up there with the greats. I genuinely think you can be up there with the greats. No, seriously.
God.
This is not me blowing fucking thing up your ass, hot air up your ass. I think you can do it. And I think you know there's a little bit inside of you that knows as well. Because as a friend, I know you've got that little something special that not everyone has that goes, yeah, I've got what it takes. The ignorance to comedy, the drive to make your jokes better, watching you go joke for joke and work on your craft. There is something in you that is different to other comedians. There is something in you that can get up on stage, can bomb absolutely for 45 minutes straight, or walk out and be like, okay, on to the next one. How can I make that better? And I can't wait. I cannot wait for that day where I get to have front and center seats at your comedy show, not backstage, front and center seats at your comedy show with a paid ticket, look up at you on stage and go,
why the fuck would you pay?
no, because I'm a big believer in that, of paying towards someone's craft. And that's something I want to do going forward. I don't just want fucking handouts. But either be front and center or be working on your own Netflix special or whatever with you and go, I have that moment where I go, yeah, he's made it. That's what I want. That's what I want for you. No bullshit. No bullshit. That's what I want for you. I want the best.
Viraj, if you want to give me a blowjob, there's a much easier way.
Give me that. Give me
Get
that.
puckering. With that, listen, Dave Chappelle is a inspiration for a lot of comedians. And it's funny you say that about the Who's the One Canal joke. I wrote that while watching Dave Chappelle because I was like, how comes I can't do any callbacks? And then I was working on that joke and I was like, this could be a callback. So I turned it into a callback, and then I tried it that night at a show. That night. I actually tried it at Filio's show, funnily enough. It was the first time Filio gave me a spot. I watched that special, and then I went to Filio's. Filio was filming a special. And I went and tried that, and it went down really well. And that joke, I've just kept on working it, making it tighter.
Just refine.
You can learn from all comedians. I've learned from Dave Chappelle. But I've also learned from my friends who are comedians. I've learned from Filio, I've learned from Kazim, I've learned from Dino, I've learned from Farhan, I've learned from Ed, I've learned from Prakash. Like, Farhan's comedy, for example, Farhan's comedy is very quick and tight, right? And then after I watched him doing his stuff, I was like, I need to get to the point quicker, and that made me a better comedian. So you don't have to just learn from people like Dave Chappelle. You can also learn from your peers, and there's no ego in that. You have to learn from each other.
That's what I like about you. That's what I like, is you look at them and go, he's a good comedian. He's got a good set. How can I learn? Yeah,
well, just in life. Like, I learn from everyone in my life. Like, for example, from my brother-in-law. He's a very calm, cool, collected individual. And I've known my brother-in-law's been in our family since I was 11. And I've learned that from him over the years, of how to stay calm in situations, because I respect that about him. And comedy, hopefully in comedy, you might have a successful career, you might not. But hopefully you can learn a lot of lessons for life from comedy. Learning about patience, learning about being humble, learning about applauding other people's skills. Some people have it in their mind when they see another comedian who's funny, it winds them up, they lose sleep that night. How comes that guy got more laughs than me? To a certain extent, it's natural. But also you have to think to yourself, what can I learn from that person? Because they're not necessarily better than you. They just did something that night that was particularly special. What can you gain from that? And you constantly have to have that attitude in comedy. Otherwise, it will eat you up and spit you out. Because it's hard. When you do stand-up comedy, the feedback is immediate. It's not like you play professional football, let's say. You have a bad game, right? You'll get shit on Twitter, but the feedback isn't as immediate. And there's also 11 other players on your team that you can deflect blame on. When you're up there on stage, it's on you. If it doesn't go well...
It's like with the content we create, right? We don't know. We can think it's fucking amazing until we put it out there and it goes... And, we can go like 8 hours into the process. Our podcasts take a week to get out.
Yeah.
We have to wait a week to get any feedback. We have to wait a week to see if anything we said was remotely entertaining.
Chappelle has this amazing ability to be on the right side of history. I think when we look back, even the people who doubt him, I think will eventually look back and realize Dave was right about a lot of things, even if they don't realize it now. And he has this amazing ability, and whether people want to realize it or not, of, to your point, giving his honest perspective on situations.
Yep.
There are a lot of people who might have some views that might be considered unsavory. And he might admit that himself. He admits himself that at times he's had prejudices, and then he looks within himself, and then he explains to you why he feels like that.
And it's just his opinion
Yeah.
on something. It's not a whole kind of industry's opinion. It's just a man. It's just a human's opinion on the way he looks at life, and that's okay.
Like there's one point in the special where he's in the most recent special,
What's
where
it called? I actually didn't know the name.
the closer.
The closer.
There's one point in the special where he categorically says, "Why wasn't it as easy for our movement?" And that's
Yes.
him asking a question.
Why was it easier for Caitlyn Jenner to change sex and win Women of the Year compared to, and I can't remember what it was, but that hit me, and I was like, that was the moment. I was like, you are talking about something so much bigger here.
He's looking about what he's feeling, and that's comedy, honest perspectives. One thing Chappelle says that I love, he says, you go to a comedy club, every view is represented in stand-up comedy.
Yep.
Doesn't matter who you are, whether
I'd
you're
agree.
gay, straight, trans, non-binary, black, white, Asian, whatever you are, your view is represented somewhere in a comedy club. There is a comedian who represents you. It's the most representative art, I believe, out there. It's the only art that, to a certain extent, is still pure in its honesty.
I can see what you're saying there. Well, you can. I think it's the most representative art.
Where you can
because-
be celebrated for your individuality.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point I was getting.
A lot of time, musicians initially are celebrated for their individuality, and then they get in the music industry, which is worth billions,
And they chop you up and
and
spit
the
you out.
individuality is lost, and they become a product. Whereas generally, stand-up comedians, many of them are allowed to keep their identity and be celebrated for their identity, and we should protect that at all cost.
Because in comedy, in stand-up comedy, your opinion is the product.
Yeah.
If you change your opinion to something that is like what industry standard or whatever, and kind of PG-13, or and there is PG content, there is PG comedians, and they're great. But your opinion is what makes you money.
Yeah.
And that's why, like you said, you have to protect it at all costs. It is what keeps it pure. It is what keeps it as pure as can be.
I think comedians are special people. And I'm not just saying that because I am one. I think
No,
comedians
you are.
have this unique way of seeing the world. That's why comedians have such a good time when they're around other comedians. It's because like, these people understand
Me.
when tragedy happens, how we react to tragedy. Like I said this on this podcast, when my dog died, I thought of like 5 jokes on my way home to go bury my dog. To a normal person, that might be wild, but a comedian understands that perspective.
It's like we were watching comedians in cars getting coffee, and Seinfeld was talking to Murphy in a cafe whilst having coffee after driving there in a car,
Wow.
is what it says on the tin. And he was like, we said essentially what you said, and was like, when someone dies, and we had a friend that died, and the joke that came to my head was like, oh, fuck it, thank God he's gone. In a funny way, you think differently about things.
I said about Ali all the time. I say when Ali dies, we're all going to have to be at his funeral acting surprised. And that sounds like to another person, that might sound like a terrible thing, but to a comedian, that's just
the way you look at the world.
That's just how we work. Patrice O'Neill is a very famous comedian, very influential comedian. He's a comics comic, right?
What does that mean?
So he's a comedian he's comedian's favorite comedian.
Okay.
In the sense of his dark sense of humor.
Have I watched him before?
I don't think you have.
Right.
I'll
Okay.
show you him.
It's on the list.
The things he would say to some people might be considered extremely unsavory, right? So he's got this, my favorite Patrice O'Neill joke, right? He goes, I've been with my girl, my girl's been with me for 10 years, I've been with her for 2.
Yeah.
And then everyone laughs at that, obviously. And then he does an impression, goes to his wife, he goes, you didn't know you was a hoe for 8 years? And that's just how his mind works. You get these, when a comedian says something and it's like, wow, you are showing us who you are. When I watch a comedian, I like to think to myself, from your set, do I know who you are? Are you letting me in? And I think that's a lot of things when people first get into comedy, is whether they realize it or not, they're struggling to just let people in.
do you let people in? Do you try and let people in, or do you let people in? Because there's a big difference.
I'm getting there. I mean, I talk about my friends, my family, my perspective on them, so it's hard not to. But
But-
part of the process of becoming a good comedian is getting to that point of pure introspection, where you can look within yourself to find the funny. Within every tragedy that may have happened in your life, there is a joke in there somewhere if you look hard enough.
Right. And that's the way that you look at life, or
And
trying to look at life.
That's the joke, and it's in a raw file, right? So you record this audio, you're going to get a raw file, and then you're going to have to clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's how every joke is born. There's a raw file of unadulterated feelings about a situation. And then we go out on stage, and then we turn it into something presentable.
So in a way, comedy, like creating jokes, is almost like a form of meditation, because you've
It's
got to look.
therapy.
Yeah, you've got
It's
to
a
look in
comedian's
yourself
therapy.
to figure out who am I and what about this do I feel, and how can I use that in my body of work that I'm creating.
That's why when I say in my joke, my dad beat me with a cricket bat, and then I look at the audience faces and I say, the English people are looking horrified, and the ethnic minorities are just looking at me like, yeah, that's something that happens. Because you can see within the audience that they are understanding where you're coming from, because you are saying something that they can relate to, and you've just provided the humor of it. You are for a lot of people, that's extremely traumatic, being beaten. But there's
The standard procedure.
you look hard enough, you will find the funny in anything.
Yeah, you're right. You are right. But you have to go through those levels to figure it out. You got to pull back the curtains on all your emotions and go, there's that little diamond. Now it's time to clean it up.
I asked my dad the other day, I was like, how old were you when you realized that I was funny? And he goes, when you were 5, because you just had these weird perspectives on everything.
Really?
Like when I was 5, for example, I thought it'd be funny to walk up to, or 6 even, maybe 7, who knows how old I was, right? I walked up to a security guard at the airport and I told them my parents had a bomb in the bag. What kind of child does that? Another time in an airport,
Seems to be happening a lot at airports, Muhsin.
I tried to bring scissors onto the plane because I
Yeah.
wanted to do arts and crafts. They found the scissors and they tried to take it off, and I started hitting the security guard, and I yelled at him. I was like 8. I yelled I was going to sue him, and then he started walking away, and I ripped my mum's hand away from mine, and I ran after him to try and get my scissors back. If I didn't know if someone was a man or a woman, I would just go up and ask him.
I love it.
I once drove my my toy car, you know those cars that you can drive, onto a dual carriageway
Really?
because I really wanted to know what it was like to drive. And all these little funny things that I would do, and at family parties, again, really young, like 6 years old, I would just get up and do an impression of everyone. I did an impression of my uncle, and my uncle was one of those guys, very serious guy, head of family kind of vibe, where everyone's like very respectful and serious around him, and I'd have him cracking up. Because I'd
basically your version of him.
Yeah, my impression of him talking on the phone to his employees. I'd do an impression of his voice. I'll do my dad, and they'll be like, and I'd be like, whenever they do an impression of my dad, I'd just stare into space like that, and that would be the whole impression. And he said like he knew from a young age that I was a character. And I always wonder, it's like, what goes through someone's mind to try stand-up comedy? Because it's a very weird thing to decide that you want to do.
It's on my bucket list now.
Really?
We've had this conversation on camera before, but it's on my bucket list to try and to bomb and to succeed. Just go out there and just have fun.
The only people I would feel starstruck meeting, I don't know if other comedians would agree with me on this. There's not many people that I would be mesmerized by meeting. But the only people I'd feel mesmerized meeting, or starstruck even, are comedians that I've looked up to, because they've had such a fundamental impact on how I see the world and my life. Like if Katy Perry walked in right now, or Justin Bieber, I wouldn't give a monkey's. I'm like, it's Justin Bieber, cool. I ain't gonna go on. I'm definitely not asking for a photo. But if Chappelle walked in right now, I'd be like, looking over, wonder what he looks like when he's just chilling. I'd want to get an insight.
Not an insight into him, but more an insight into his mind, right?
I want to see the human behind the stuff.
But don't you see that? Don't you see that on stage?
Yeah, but there's also that curiosity of like, what are you like off the stage?
He's the same
Some
person.
comedians are very different. So
Are they?
Chris Rock apparently is notoriously known for being very shy off stage. He's quite an
Interesting.
introverted guy. Martin Lawrence,
Yeah.
Big Mama, right?
Yeah.
Martin Lawrence, again, known for being quite an introvert, doesn't like interviews. Will Smith basically had to drag him on press tours. Yeah, for Bad
Wow.
Boys. He doesn't like it. If you listen to Martin Lawrence interviews, right? Interviews, they're not very entertaining. There's nuggets there because he's an experienced, insightful guy. But it's like almost like he's doing a police interview. He's like giving the answer and like, that's my story, I'm sticking to it.
Fair enough. Do you think that anyone can be a comedian?
No.
I think it takes a certain type of person. So you can't make a comedian.
I think there's a certain, there has to be something in you. First of all, you need to have a very strong drive to want to be a comedian because you're going to be terrible for so long and it's going to be hard. Like I only got petty laughs for my first like 20 gigs. It was terrible. What makes someone overcome that? Anyone can try, but what makes someone continue to show up? And I could try anything, but I could go to a rugby training tomorrow. I'm not going to go to any more. What makes anyone continue at something? It has to be within you to want to get better at it.
So what you're saying is that you can. Anyone can keep at comedy. But
No,
that doesn't
no,
mean
no,
that
no,
you-
no, no.
Okay.
Anyone can try it,
But not
but
everyone can be a comedian.
anyone can try it, but not many people will want to stick at it and get better at it and have the drive. It has to consume you. I think about stand-up comedy all the time. All the time. Basically all I think about, to be honest, is stand-up comedy. And all other aspects of my life are surrounded. Like when I meet up with my missus, right? We meet up around my gigs. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The focal point is always the show. And thankfully I have a very supportive missus. And to be honest, half the time it's her idea to structure it like that because she knows how important it is to me and what I'm trying to do. It has to be all-consuming because it's too hard to get good at. If you don't really love it, you're not going to last. So I met a comedian the other day. I'm not going to say his name because whatever, right? But he was at my first gig and he's like a pro comedian, right? And he turned up at that gig, right? It was like a memorial gig for a comedian who'd passed away and it was my first gig. And he came on stage and it was at like a dive bar, right? And he came on stage, didn't even do any stand-up. Maybe had a few drinks and he was like, some of you are shit. Some of you will make it and you'll be shit for a long time, but then you'll get good and most of you will give up. And then, funnily enough, we were gigging together the other day and we're in the green room and I explained to him that story. He didn't remember it and he laughed. And I was like, you see, I made it through. And he goes, you see, but how many of those people that you gigged with that day carried on? I was like, probably not many of them.
Have you got a number?
Pardon?
Have you got a number? How many actually made it? Off the top of
No,
your head.
but I haven't seen any of them around, so I feel like I would have seen them. A lot of people try comedy, not many people stick at it.
What makes you want to stick at it?
I love it.
You
And
do you like the feeling of bombing?
I don't know why I love comedy. Ask a comedian why he loves comedy, they'll give you a second to answer it. I just do. Why does a mother love his kids? It's my kid. Why do I love stand-up comedy? It's stand-up
This
comedy.
is interesting because this is the only thing that you don't have more like it's a one-sentence answer. And knowing you for a year and a half, or however long I've known you, it's the only thing.
Do you want me to try and give you an answer? I can try. I can
Yeah.
try and express it.
Because you
One-
always have more than an answer.
I love trying to make people laugh. I always have done. I've always got a high from making people happy. I love the problem solving of putting a joke together and making it work on stage, from it being me babbling on stage to turn it into something that's relatively polished, right, by relative standards. I love hanging out with other comedians. I like that I found people who are like-minded to me, that I can have interesting conversations with unique perspectives. But fundamentally, why do I do comedy? Because I love comedy. That's it. Ask someone why she loves you.
It will be a one.
Because I love you.
Because I love you.
Yeah,
And that's the way you look at comedy.
yeah. She doesn't need to think about why she loves you. She does.
Do you think that obviously your missus is very supportive? Do you think that if you didn't have someone like that in your life,
I can imagine it gets very hard for people who don't have a supportive partner and they're trying to do stand-up comedy. Especially if you... I've had conversations with comedians who have financial responsibilities and how that worked while trying to make a comedy career. And it's not easy. There are going to be times where sometimes you just do need to grow up and you do need to get a job to pay the bills while you're doing your comedy, because if you have kids, these kids have to eat. They're not responsible for your comedy career. They're responsible for being your child and loving you, and you have to do what's right for them. But I'm lucky enough where I'm in a low responsibility phase of my life, where I don't really have to think about those other things. My girlfriend's 21, so she's at a low responsibility phase of her life. So we can just vibe and enjoy this.
I like that.
I wouldn't want to bring a kid into this world until I've got the comedy in a more stable place, because it wouldn't be fair on the kid.
Facts. Would you want kids? Would you
Yeah.
want your kids to be comedians, or at least try stand-up comedy?
I know a few people who have comedian parents. I believe Travis Day's mum was a comedian, and he's a very successful comedian. Richard Pryor's son tried comedy. I don't know how well it went. Apparently Dave Chappelle's son tried comedy recently. I don't know how
Really?
it went. I don't know. It's like, is it fair to expect your child to be good at what you're good at? David Beckham's kids aren't professional footballers. He's gonna love them the same.
True.
I would want them to have something that makes them feel the way I feel about comedy. It doesn't have to be comedy. It could be
something else.
fucking ballet for all I care. If they're a passionate dancer, I'll still turn up and probably cry like a little bitch in the front row, being a proud, embarrassing dad.
Yeah.
As long as it makes them happy and it gives them that feeling. And it's not all about the money, by the way. Again, another Dave Chappelle story. His dad was concerned when he said he wanted to pursue comedy for a living. And he gave his dad a really good answer. He said, "Dad, you're a teacher. If I can make a teacher's salary from comedy, I would consider myself a success." It's not all about becoming a millionaire. It's all about just doing what you enjoy.
I enjoy, from my year of creating content, I realize that this is something I'm incredibly passionate about.
Yeah.
And it's not the creating content aspect of it. It's the having conversations with people. So the podcast is what I truly love. I can't explain what it is. I just like talking to people about things and just getting into their heads. You know, we talk about this, like just understanding their mind, getting inside their head, and kind of just like picking at things to be like, oh, why do you like that? Or what makes you think about that in that way? And how can I absorb that perspective if necessary? And it warms my heart to have conversations like this, whether it's with you, whether it's with, you know, our comedian friends now, or whether it's with Ali or my brother or my mum. Like, I love it. I really, really do. And I can't explain it. I just know I fucking love it. I love just sitting there and listening to someone talk about something they're interested in, talk about shit, talk about something they're passionate about. And I would love to make that, and I will make that into a career. If I can earn the same amount as a teacher,
If you're making
That would be
30k
great.
a year from this,
that's a sustainable lifestyle.
yeah,
That is, you can live off that.
100%. Especially with the level of responsibility you have right now. Absolutely, why not?
But you got to put the work into it. You have to be obsessed, and that's one thing. I think all the greats, everyone that has done anything incredibly relevant
Yeah,
in society and life and whatever, they will always say, find the one thing, don't spread yourself thin, spread yourself thin, find the one thing, and go fucking deep on it, obsess about it, 24/7, 365. Like, I listen to podcasts and I listen to entertainment podcasts so that I can get better in the way that I express things, in the way that I talk to you, in the way that I talk to people. I read books. There's a book called, I believe it's called The Game, which is about picking up women. But I don't use it for that. I use it to translate those skills over to how can I develop a relationship with someone faster so that we can have a better conversation.
yeah.
And everything just revolves around that. So you can look at someone, it can be a complete stranger, and you can have a fucking half an hour conversation about the meaning of life.
We both saw a quote the other day about, essentially the quote goes, "We are constantly looking at what's next, and very rarely do we take stock of the present and appreciate how far we've come. The stuff we have today, a past version of ourselves would be desperate for what we have today. This year alone, all the good stuff that's happened, shortlisted for PhD Student of the Year. I have my own podcast. I've opened for comedians. Well, I haven't not opened, but been booked by comedians who I used to grow up listening to on the radio every day.
Mm-hmm.
I've met some incredible people. I have my own comedy show now that sells out. A year ago, last October, I didn't have any of that.
But it's
Any
only when
of
you
that.
sit down and you
And you
list
take
it.
stock and you're like, wow, like, you should be appreciative of how far you've come. And I think why people don't do that more often is they're constantly comparing themselves to people who are higher up than them. And it's like, well, they're just further ahead in the process than you, and you'll get there.
You are right in the middle of where your past self wanted to be.
I'm living the dreams of Muhsin in 2020.
Yeah. I'm living the dreams of Viraj. Or pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
Because I get to do something with my friends. I can invite my parents to a comedy show. I get to talk to people, which is what I realized I love doing. Yeah, I had to write articles for 6 months during a pandemic. I had to try YouTube and realize that it wasn't for me, and long form content is.
Well, God willing, in another year, we'll take stock again.
Yeah, I like it.
And then we'll be in a completely, hopefully, better position.
And you know what? If it's worse, it's okay. You had a bad year. You move on.
That's when you really realize when you love something. To answer your question, what cuts people into different cloths, right, in comedy, is can you bear the constant bombing at the start of your comedic career? Because there's going to be a lot of bombing.
But that's
and it's
with
painful.
everything. That's with everything. Can you get over the constant failing?
If you can be shit at it and still love it, you love it.
Yeah, I've had shit episodes. We had a shit episode last week.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the best, and we were both a little bit off, but we're still back here, and I'm still loving this fucking conversation.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see where it grows and where we get it to, because that's going to be fucking incredible.
You know that 50 Cent lyric, would you love me if I was down and out? Would you still have love for me? That's that question for comedy. Comedy, it's not comedy's responsibility to love you, it's your responsibility to love and respect comedy.
Say that again.
It's not comedy's responsibility to love me. Comedy owes me nothing. I owe comedy.
Say it one more time.
Comedy owes me nothing. I owe comedy. No one owes me a pro spot. No one owes me
Preach
a
that
tour.
shit to
No
the
one
motherfucking choir.
No one owes me for people to listen to this podcast. What I owe is trying my absolute best to make that happen and respecting the craft. There have been far too many good comedians, right? Incredible comedians, done incredible things with their careers, contributed massively to making the art what it is today. Because without the acts, right, it wouldn't be where it's at today. For me to then just waltz in and expect to have everything handed to me on the table, it's not going to work like that. You need to get good. You need to do the gigs that you don't want to go to because they're in a dive bar somewhere and you only get 5 minutes and the bar staff are going to disrespect you. You might have to buy a drink to stay. You're not getting paid. It's all part of it. Will you still love comedy then?
If you love it, you love it. That is, I'm gonna fucking, I find a way to pin that shit, turn it into an NFT, and I'm gonna send it to you.
NFT?
So that you have it for all of time.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah? That shit was those once in a lifetime moments, not once in a lifetime, those moments where you're with someone, you connect with someone on a single wavelength, and they say something and it resonates with you, and I'm using the word resonate, and I know you don't like it, but that was one of those moments for me.
You know when you write an essay in school?
Yeah.
And then you make a point, and then the teacher marks it and leaves feedback, elaborate. Right?
Yeah.
Dive into that point more. That's what Dave Chappelle does very well. He takes an idea, an intuition that he might have about something, and he looks within himself for the answers, and he squeezes every little thought, opinion, fear, excitement, every emotion he can get out of it.
So a good comedian, so you know the paragraph structure of an essay at school, and when you're doing your GCSEs or A-levels, they do that point, evidence, analysis, right?
Yes. Or explanation.
Explanation. A average comedian will give you a point. A good comedian will give you a point and an explanation. A great comedian, ones that separate themselves from the rest of the pool, is one that gives you PEA and then some.
Yeah.
With an opinion. And like you said, that is what Chappelle does incredibly. That is what the greats do in every craft.
when you listen to Chappelle, how many times do you find yourself going, "Huh,
All the time.
I've never
But
looked at it like that."
I've not had that with another comedian yet. With other comedians that we go and see, I have like, kind of like a, yeah, I find that funny. I like the way you strung that together. The last person that I was immersed in their story was Filio. When he
Oh,
when
he's gonna love that. Chop this bit up and send it to him.
Filio, I really really lost myself when he does his piece on um, him tripping while he's in Compton, and who knows whether it's a true story or not. And it's an incredible piece because he weaves this narrative together. Incredible callback, and
Don't give away the joke.
I'm not going to give away the joke, but I find it beautiful because he builds a narrative. He builds he's world building at this point, and he gets you in there. He makes you look through the eyes of him, makes you feel the way he feels, makes you see the world in the way that video is seeing the world, and then kind of just wakes you up by pressing it.
Billy, if you see this, please tag us.
Nah, Philia, this is
in
for
the
real.
sponsored
This is
ad.
for real. That was definitely the last time that I lost myself in a comedian that I've seen in person. I want to go see more comedy shows. I do.
There was a little bit at the end of Chappelle's special, right?
Yeah.
Where he was playing "I Will Survive," the song.
Is this right at the end?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
credits, and I was looking through his photos, and I was visualizing what would my photos look like in the end credits.
They're going to be all of Ali's photos that
you
he's
see-
ever taken of you.
The photos that you saw at those end credits are more valuable to a comedian than the stories that he's telling on stage, because those are the experiences he had while doing comedy. Those are the personal stories and memories that he's going to have from his comedy career, touring with Joe, hanging out with people that he respects. That's what comedy's given him, because he's paid his dues. Those are the memories. So, like, you know, when I put that photo reel up of the
Yeah.
green room stuff.
Made you feel something. Made me feel something.
Well, those are memories that we're gonna have, having a great night amongst comedians, experiencing things, creating memories while out.
It's. I think that's like for everyone. That's what. When you have a film camera and you look at those photos, it feels different to when you look at Ali takes it on his camera and we view it 2 seconds later. I get what you're saying. I do. And from someone that's behind the camera, I can say, and someone that has been in a green room taking photos of comedians, I feel the exact same way. I feel like I look at a photo I've taken of someone and I go, I get an emotion out of taking this photo of you because and it's really selfish for me. I steal a little bit of that blissness that you feel, and I can look at that photo and feel something that you felt. And I know it means the world to a lot of people when you take a photo of them and they can look back on it and go, those are the good times. That is a moment, like you said, where we're making memories. And I like doing that with photography. I like doing that for you. I like doing that for Ali. I like doing that for people I've never met before. Because I can put a smile on their face. I can look them in the eyes and I can see something that wasn't there a second before when they look at themselves. Whether it's, oh, I look ugly, or, oh shit, that's a good photo of me. You can see something and you can tell whether it's fake or real now, but it feels amazing because and it's selfish. I know it's selfish, but I love it. I love stealing a little bit of someone just to be like, yeah, I've got that little bit of you here with me, and you get to enjoy that for the rest of your life. I get to enjoy the fact that I've taken that photo of you and you enjoy that. More than anything, I want to see the light in your eyes when you look at that thing, when you look at my body of work and go, wow. When you look on it in 50 years' time, I know that you could potentially still look at it in the same way, and that just makes me happy. Same with this.
As a photographer in these areas, or videographer, you're facilitating memories for other people because they're busy living it, and then
You've got to be selfless.
Yeah.
You've got to be selfless. I love to be on camera, but I know as part of the comedy show, part of the deal that we've got at the moment is that we need legs to carry this. You put your work in on stage. I put my work in with Ali behind the camera. And together we push that along. It's not my time to be on stage. There'll be a time when.
Do you ever
when
feel
I can.
undervalued?
Do I ever feel undervalued? I feel it's not undervalued. It's what how can I add more value? I don't feel it from you. I feel it from myself. I feel
Right.
like, what can I do more? I
Right.
know that I'm not just a videographer. I know my opinions mean something. I know that between us, between all four of us, we have no ego about what needs to be done and what can be done. It's Muhsin's way is not just the high road because he's the one that created this concept. Muhsin's opinion has weight, Ali's opinion has weight, mine has weight. If I say something that can't be done technologically, you respect that opinion until I say to you, it can be done. If you go to me, Viraj, I want this shot, I will work my ass off to figure out how to give you that with the things that we have. So it's not, I don't feel undervalued from your perspective. I feel undervalued to myself in terms of how can I bring more to this? How can we make this better? How can we make this something that we look back on as a body of work and say, yeah, we did all right.
So what advice would you give to someone who wants to build a business with their friends? What would you say?
I'd say do exactly the same thing we did. Go low budget with the things that you have at the moment in time and just fucking start. Make all
Yeah,
the
look
mistakes
how much
possible.
shit we have after just 2 episodes. We haven't even done the third one yet.
Exactly. Find people that have the same drive, the same core values in terms of what pushes them in their life, but find them in completely different sectors, right? Find one that is an engineer, find one that's a PhD student, find another that's creative. Because I guarantee you, every single one of those people is creative in completely different ways. The way that you look of life, and I said this to your face, you're a highly intellectual individual, but you're also a high functioning individual. You look at things differently, on a scale like we're all on a scale of autism, right? You're on a scale that is different to where I am. You look at things differently, right? I look at certain things differently. Ali looks at certain things differently. You can't have three people that look at things the same way because you're sipping on your own Kool-Aid. Find people with three different opinions, four different, however many people it is,
And skill sets.
and skill sets, so that you all bring something to the table. And also, make sure they're people that you respect. Make sure they're people that you're going to have some fun with. Because if you're not having fun, don't fucking do it.
Don't use people.
Yeah, don't use people. You know, one of the interesting things when we started, and I said to you from the jump, I was like, "Yeah, we can do this," but I'm fully invested. And you're like, "We'll just pay you and Ali for the first episode," and then we had a conversation, and we moved forward together.
That was me, in all being honesty, not fully appreciating how valuable you guys could be, and then it dawned on me. I was like, I'm being an idiot.
And that's all right, because I knew I had to say it for you to realize, and we had to do a show for you
Even
to.
Warren said it to me. He was like, "Oh, so are they not going to be part of the business?" And I was thinking, "But do they need to be?" And then very quickly I realized, "Oh no, yeah, they definitely need to be. I can't do this shit."
And I'm happy. I'm happy that we were able to have a conversation, a two-line,
You want
I
in.
want in, and you go, yeah, sure. That's all it took. And if you don't ask, you don't get.
Equity.
I just want skin in the game. I want skin in the game to say that I am not the cause of something. Let me rephrase that. I want skin in the game to say that I am fully invested in this, as you are.
Yeah.
I bring the same amount. I want to bring the same amount to the table as you do on stage, from behind the camera. I want all of us to have a good time, and I want every single person that comes into the room to enjoy themselves. Because although I'm behind a camera, I get the same appreciation of you being up on stage when I see everyone laugh and go, look at this body of work. And we've done this at both shows. I don't know if you realise. We're good. We're good. Both shows, we all come together before or after and go, look what we've done. It might be in a moment of our drunkenness or whatever, but we all, for the last two shows, we've done that. And it dawned on me a couple of days ago, I was like, for a single second in a 2-hour set, we take stock. We don't know we take stock, but we take stock. And I fucking love it. And it's fun. Who gives a shit? It fails, it fails. We move on, we chop it up, and we keep going. We pivot and adapt. So, simply, Find some people with some same core values of you, respect the way that you work, respect your opinions. Find them in completely different areas. They can be in completely different, can be in similar areas, but don't want them around you just because they think the same way. Muhsin thinks differently to me. Ali thinks differently to me. I think differently to both of them, as is evident with the way that I look at relationships. And just start. Don't just press play. Who cares whether it's bad? You've seen our first episode. My first 6, 9, 8 YouTube videos were all out of focus until I plucked up the courage to buy a camera and put myself in full like 4K. And just press play and just see how and just roll with the punches. And that's it. What are your thoughts?
I agree. There's nothing else I can add to that.
I like this episode.
Yeah.
If the music has kind of been on the same wavelength of what we've been talking about. Good episode.
Should we wrap it there?
Let's wrap it. You want to do another ad reel?
We have more than I could put out anyway. But come to 1 minute smoke anyway. If you don't come to 1 minute smoke, I will shave Viraj's beard off. Actually, some of you sick fucks would probably want to see that mess.
Actually, shall we? Shall we do that? Okay, how's this? If we can get a reel of us promoting the show to get how many views?
If one of the promotional reels gets 5,000 views...
Bro, 50K.
50K. Wow, set the bar high.
50K views. I'm not talking about likes. 50K views.
50K views, Viraj will shave his beard.
You can shave it. Deal?
Deal.
Deal. And I will grow my hair out.
Let's make a reel saying this, right?
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, oh no. Let's make a reel. If this promotional reel gets 50,000 views, he will shave off his beard, right? So do the right thing. Come to 1 minute smoke, October 28th. Get this to 50,000 views, and he will shave his beard. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.